Hey, welcome to another one of our videos of what the heck are we doing here at Minnesota Implement. So I'm just assembling a room full of plows here. All these are going to different folks. This one's for a dealer that I work with, Jason Kadada out of Lonsdale. So I've got quite a variety in the bay here for different designed plows. This one obviously is a John Deere with the hook and pin 14 and 3/8 hookup. Now, as I've said in other videos, you got the 14 and 3/8 from the hook to the pin, and then the 16 and 5/8, or actually I think it's closer to 17 and 3/8, but the big and the little, you've got a different variety. And this one is a heavy duty 6.5 foot plow for that. So we've got the heavier faceplate, heavier frame steel and all of that. And then the 5 web plow, which has the 3 hinge points on it. The lighter weight plow would have the 2 hinge points. You can obviously look that all up in the other videos that I've got. But anyways, I got the 6.5 John Deere sitting here. And then I'm working on a 9 foot for a John Deere Euro mount. And these Euro mounts can be quite the ordeal. Unlike our hook and pin that is pretty standard, you've either got the big one or the little one. On the Euro mount, they're all over the doggone place. And I've got other videos on here about trying to get the proper measurements so that we can build for that Euro mount. But like I say, we build all kinds of different faceplates here. Probably the hardest one to nail down exactly what it is this Euro mount, unless you get into some of the older ASV plates or the older New Holland hook and latch. We end up doing, I suppose over the years there have been 30 different configuration of faceplates that we do. But anyways, this is a 9 foot heavy duty with the John Deere Euro mount. And again, we've got that on the backbone of the plow, we've got the 3 hinge points and 4 springs. Now you'll notice as a 9 foot, I've got 4 springs on the back of there on the heavy duty. And as a 6.5 foot, I've got 2 springs. However, because it is a heavy duty 6.5, it has the provisions you could put 4 springs in there. And if this was going on a larger skid steer, I would put the 4 springs in there. But this is going on a utility tractor, so we put the 2 springs in there so that it rides softer. Obviously, like I say, if you're using this for pushing on sidewalks and you're on an 8,000-pound skid steer with it, we'd put the other springs in there because it would need it in order to put up with the abuse. But for a utility tractor, we put less springs in there in order to soften the load for the utility tractor. But we've got the super duty, or excuse me, the heavy duty plow here. 9 foot gets the 4 springs across it. And that's John Deere Euro mount. Again, all 1/4 inch thick hardware on that. And then we come over here and we've got a super duty wing plow. Obviously I haven't started assembling this one yet, but when we look at our backbone, we've got the 3 hinge connecting points, but a much bigger beam, and then provision for 6 springs across the width of the super duty. And then this one is a wing plow, which is kind of hard to tell from the back, but as we come around the front. Now this one is also getting a 8-inch wide by 1.5 thick poly plastic cutting edge. So we got all kinds of custom stuff going on this one, because this one is for the John Deere 14 and 3/8 hook and pin setup for your standard loader frame, and then it also has provision in there for the 3-point setup. This client ordered this Super Duty plow to go on a larger tractor that has the undercarriage mount that uses the 3-point on the front. So their undercarriage cradle will lock into the fast hitch collars here, and then their 3rd link arm comes up to the top of this tower. So we had to do some modification to the faceplate and to our dimensions in order to make sure that our toggle mechanism for the floating plate would clear that 3-point mount. So kind of a fun bit of engineering to get that to work with the 3-point setup for the front of the tractor. Now obviously you could do this for the rear of the tractor if you felt like going backward all the time too. But in this particular case, it is built to go on the front of the tractor with the 3-point mount and or the loader mount. So you can drop your loader frame and move the plow closer to the tractor. And as it happens, the client had ordered the tractor with the undercarriage, and not all of the parts for the undercarriage came in. So originally he wasn't worried about having a faceplate to work with the machine loader frame. He wanted it to go onto his undercarriage. But since not all of the parts came in for his undercarriage, at least this way he can still use it with the loader frame until the rest of the parts come in to put it on the 3-point. So that's one of the problems we're having right now is here even 2-3 years after COVID, there are still sourcing problems for some of what should be common and should be on the shelf. And so we try to do our best here to adapt your product so that we can accommodate what you have so you can get to work right away. But that's a Super Duty frame for John Deere and for the 3-point. And then over here we've got another John Deere plow being built. But this one is skid steer mount. So I believe this one, yes, that has a 3 in there. So it is a standard duty. And in fact, this hardware does not go to this orange or to this green plow here. This hardware goes to a different plow that's over in the other bay yet. But as you see, we've got that 2-web backbone on there, and that would go to a plow like this orange one that's ahead of us here, where we've got 4 webs across the width of it and 2 spring points, and then the 2 hinge points. So that frame down there would be a standard duty for skid steer for a, I believe that's a 6.5-foot plow that, like I say, it just hasn't made it over the bay here. But as you can kind of see between the framework on this and the framework on the yellow one and the other green one, it looks identical other than that backbone being 2 connecting points rather than 3. It looks identical to the other 2 plows down there, but it's all 3/16 thick rather than quarter thick. But this one's for skid steer mount, and that's, most of your skid steers nowadays are using that, other than ASV is still using their own custom. So that faceplate, that skid steer universal, fits probably 85% of the machines out there that are being built, other than John Deere. There's a couple of oddballs out there, but anyways, that's part of our fun when we get into building custom products for every random person, because we're not John Deere exclusive or we're not New Holland exclusive. Sometimes we need to get the measurements from your machine, especially on that global Euro, because there is a big difference even between year groups on the John Deere or year groups on the New Holland. And when you get into, let's say, a 2004 New Holland faceplate versus a 2013 John Deere faceplate, those global Euros are nothing alike. They're a nightmare. Fortunately, this John Deere plate and the skid steer plate and those are pretty common. But we do love to hate to do custom equipment. I love the challenge of doing custom stuff all the time, but it is obviously a very complicated thing sometimes to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for and that it is accurate and it'll work as soon as you take it out of the box, per se. So we do go back and forth sometimes on trying to get the measurements from you to make sure that everything is right. But we are Minnesota Implement. We build custom skid steer and utility tractor attachments. It's what pays our bills and keeps the lights on, so feel free to spread our name around, and if you need product, give us a call. We'd be happy to work with you. Thank you very much.